Skyliner started as a website that was about unusual histories. Things like the story behind a gargoyle on a building, and trying to document these things that were otherwise undocumented, or finding that history was really difficult for somebody who just has a passing interest but isn't an academic. And after about a year of running that website, what kind of took over really were my tours. So they were the first properly alternative tours in Manchester, though it's hard to define what that actually is. But they're not green badge, they're not blue badge, and the content itself is really different from what you would find elsewhere. So over the years it's become apparent that a lot of the tour routes that I do are known as anti-tours. Before finding out that phrase, I refer to them as honest tours. I will tell you unusual stories, but I'll tell you the truth of a city as well. So I'm not going to talk to you about historical poverty and ignore the fact that we're stood next to a homeless camp. And whilst some people might think that it can sound quite negative if I'm being critical of public space or lack of public space, actually I'm engaging with people and making them think about the city in a way that they might not have thought about it before. And my intention is to offer solutions. I might not have those now, but we can work towards them. But at the heart of it all is tourism, and it is showing places off. And I love to tell people the stories of Manchester and show them an alternative side. A lot of people who come on my tours are architects and planners, lots of homeschoolers and private school groups. And actually the split amongst my audience is that most of my tourists are residential, so most people who come on my tours already live in Manchester. I predict that will change over the years, but I'll always be talking more directly to Mancunians because they get it, they understand what's going on here, and they want to know what changes they can make. In fact, it's quite a tell that a lot of the people who book to come on my tours from other countries are here because they want to discuss gentrification and the downsides of that. And I think Mancunians are being ignored in terms of the consultation process when it comes to cities, and that tour guides are completely overlooked as a fantastic feedback for councils and local governments to say, what do people think of Manchester, what is their first impression? And I'll tell you what the first impressions of tourists in Manchester are. The top 3 questions I get asked are, why are there so many homeless people? Why is there so much litter? And what are all the metal canisters on the floor, the nitrous oxide containers? They aren't the first 3 questions we want visitors to Manchester to ask us. And similarly, they aren't the 3 things that we want residents of Manchester to be blinkered to. It's so normal to see this that we don't even question it anymore. So I'm aware that I'm on my soapbox a little bit, but I want to illustrate to you that what I do isn't just about looking for the surface stories of the city, it's about getting a bit deeper than that. So at the moment, because of COVID-19, all my private bookings for the rest of the year have been cancelled. Over the last couple of years, I've done some live tours on my Instagram, so showing you snippets of tours, and people have really engaged with them. And it's always been my plan to try and do some video, shareable content. And there is a fear in the tour industry about sharing your content, and I have definitely been on the receiving end of being open with what I give to people and that being taken from me and used by other people. So I know what the pitfalls of publicly sharing content are, but these stories belong to everybody. And it's not for me to say, no, you can't find out about that history. No, I'm not going to tell you the state of this space. No, I'm not going to offer you a solution. I want to share with you. I was thinking that although I can't really go out and film any new footage and do any live tours for you at the moment, because I am self-isolating, I can use some old footage, I can use photographs, and I can put together one of my tour routes to share with you right now, and in the future they'll get better. So I'm going to give this a shot.